Hi, boys and girls. My name is Ashley Gardner. I'm the Director of Children's Ministries at MLEPC, and this is my oldest son. What's your name? Nathaniel, and he is going to be joining us for Children's Church today. So glad that you guys are listening in. We have been doing stories about who? In Children's Church. Who have we been talking about?
What was it?
Who have we been talking about in Children's Church?
What was
You've been there.
Don't remember.
See, if you don't remember, even my own son doesn't remember the story, so that's okay. He's the most important person we ever talk about in church. Jesus! Ding, 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 ding. And last week, we talked about when Jesus did something really cool involving water. What was it?
That made the Red Sea calm.
Made the Red Sea calm. No, that wasn't it. And that wasn't the Red Sea either. That was the Sea of Galilee.
Actually, the Sea of Galilee.
But that wasn't the story either. What else was there with water? It's something that most people, anyone other than Jesus, could never do this.
Walk on water.
Jesus was walking on water. Who else walked on water? What was his name?
Peter?
Peter also walked on water. And remember, he was able to at first walk out, but then what did he notice around him that made him start sinking? He started noticing the wind and the waves, and he got scared. He took his eyes off Jesus and he fell into the water. But as soon as he did that, who did he call out to? Jesus. He said, Jesus, rescue me. Did Jesus rescue him? Yes. Afterwards, when they finally got back into the boat, the disciples worshiped Jesus and they said, truly you are the Son of God. So we're going to continue to learn about Jesus. We've been talking about his miracles. And today we're doing something that was a miracle, but it was a little bit different. Jesus was once again showing people that he was the Son of God, that he had God's power. But instead of doing it in a way that was healing people or calming the seas or walking on water, he did it in a really interesting way. And it actually involved his dad. Who was Jesus' dad? God. God was going to show Jesus' followers, the disciples, that he was very proud of Jesus, that he was a proud dad. Do you think your parents are proud of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? How do you know when your parents are proud of you? What are some ways that we show you that we're proud of you?
Being nice.
Being nice. Do we tell you that we love you?
Mm-hmm.
Do we tell people that we're proud of you when you do things that are good?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, God today was going to show some of Jesus's followers that he was such a proud dad of Jesus. And they were going to show Jesus in a way, God was going to show Jesus in a way that the disciples had never seen him before. So we're going to watch this video and see what God does to show the disciples how proud he is of his son. Watch this. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hi friends, I'm Megan.
And I'm Jessie. Megan, I saw the most amazing thing ever.
Ooh, this sounds exciting. What did you see, Jessie?
A whale.
Wow, a whale? Really? Where?
In the ocean, our family went out on a boat. The captain said he wasn't sure we would see anything because of the weather, but we saw a whale. It went up in the air and then flipped back into the water.
What an amazing thing to see, Jessie.
Yeah, it was huge.
In today's Bible story, some of Jesus' disciples saw something even more amazing than a whale.
Whoa, what was it?
Listen to the story. One day, Jesus went up on a high mountain with Peter, James, and John. The disciples fell asleep, and Jesus prayed. All of a sudden, Jesus changed. His face was shining like the sun, and his clothes were bright white. The disciples woke up and saw Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you want, I will set up 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Peter was still talking when a bright cloud covered them. A voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." The disciples fell face down. They were so scared. Jesus came up and touched them. He said, "Get up. Do not be afraid." When the disciples looked up, they did not see Moses or Elijah. They only saw Jesus. As the friends were coming down the mountain, Jesus said, "Do not tell anyone what you saw until the Son of Man is raised from the dead." The disciples did not tell anyone, but they wondered what Jesus meant. They asked him, "Why do the Jewish teachers say that Elijah must come before the Messiah comes?" Jesus told them that Elijah had already come. That is, a prophet like Elijah had come. Jesus was talking about John the Baptist. The people did not think John was a prophet, and they hurt him. Jesus said that they would hurt him too. Jesus showed his glory to Peter, James, and John. Jesus said he would die, rise from the dead, and go back to heaven. One day, Jesus will come again in his glory to make everything new.
Welcome back. So what did you think of that?
Good.
Was it good? So where did Jesus go with his friends?
The mountain.
Up to the mountain. Who was he with?
Peter, James, and John.
High five. Peter, James, and John. And when they got there, what did Peter, James, and John do?
Sleep.
They fell asleep. And when they woke up, they saw something really, really weird. What was there after they fell asleep and woke up?
Elijah.
So Jesus was there, and who was he with?
Elijah.
And begins with an M. Moses. Okay, so Elijah and Moses, we've talked about them at church. Why was it so weird that Elijah and Moses were there? Were Elijah and Moses alive?
No.
No! Elijah and Moses had died hundreds of years before that. Elijah was the one, do you remember the story with Elijah on Mount Carmel with the prophets of Baal? Remember when they had to do the 2 sacrifices and God said, Moses challenged the prophets that the real God would send down what from heaven to set the sacrifice on fire? What was he gonna send down? Fire. Yeah, such a cool story. Who was the true God? Was it the prophets of Baal's God or our God?
God.
Our God. So, and Moses was the one that, who did he lead out of Egypt? The Israelites. Remember, it was with the 10 plagues. That was the story with the Red Sea. Remember, they crossed the Red Sea parted, and they walked right through. So these prophets who had lived hundreds of years before, that weren't alive anymore, were standing there talking to Jesus. And something had changed about Jesus too. What about Jesus' appearance changed? Something about his face looked different. Was his face dark or light? Light. His face was shining like the sun, and his clothes were so white. It talks about in the Bible that it was whiter than if you had bleached his clothes, like as white as you could possibly get. The disciples, Peter, basically said, "Why don't we take 3 tents and form 3 shelters so that we can all stay here?" Was he supposed to do that though? No, that wasn't God's plan. As this was going on, a cloud came down from heaven, cloud covered them, and they heard a voice.
God,
booming.
it's God, it's God, it's God.
God's voice. And what does God say? This is his proud
This
dad
is my
moment.
son.
This is my son. Who's his son? Jesus. This is my son. And what about him? With him, I am just kind of happy, mad, or well
Happy.
pleased.
Well, please.
With him, I am well pleased. God was saying, I love him. This is my son. And what does he tell the disciples to do? Does he tell the disciples, this is my son whom I love. I'm well pleased. Ignore him. Is that what he says?
No, follow him.
Listen to him.
Follow him and listen to him.
Tells the disciples to listen to him. All of a sudden, are Elijah and Moses there anymore? Nope, they're gone. They walk down the mountain, and Jesus tells the disciples, does he say, you know what? How cool was what happened up there? I transfigured, I changed. I want you to go and tell everyone what you just saw. Does he say that? No, what does he tell them to do? Shh, to keep it secret until something happened. When did he say they could finally tell?
Jesus died on the cross for our sins.
And then did what? Not just when he died on the cross, when he died on the cross and then he
Rose.
And then he rose again. He said, do not tell anyone until I die and rise again. The disciples had no clue at that point what Jesus was talking about. They didn't know what he meant by die and rise again. We know it now that he was talking about when he was going to die on the cross and come back to life. But the disciples didn't know that. They would soon find out, but they didn't know then. Why do you think Jesus did this? Why do you think God did this? Why did Jesus allow them to see him in his glory with a different appearance and hear God's voice and hear him say it was his son whom he was well pleased? Who was God showing that Jesus was?
I don't know.
Who was God saying that Jesus was? Was he just saying, you know, this Jesus is some random guy. He's good. This is my son. God was showing the disciples that Jesus was his son. He was doing it in a way that was more than just miracles. He had already shown them through miracles that Jesus was God's son. He had shown them through his teachings, but now God was using his own voice and allowing Jesus' glory to be shown. Jesus to be seen in his true form, that light coming out of him. Think, he's truly the Son of God. It talks about in the book of John, one of the Gospels, that Jesus is the light of the world. The disciples were seeing that. There was truly light coming out of his face. Like a flashlight, but even brighter. Can you imagine that? That would be so cool. Jesus was showing in a very real way that he was truly God's son. He was showing the disciples his true glory and who he was. I hope you guys liked the message this week. I hope we remember it for next week. And I hope you guys can join us again.
That was the best story ever.
Best story ever. Why not?
Yeah.
I miss you guys. Love you.
Hey,
Hope you have a great week and we'll see you again soon. Have a wonderful week and God bless. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.